When our God is for us, who can stop us? When our God is with us, who can stand against? So we all heard about this September 11 attack. It was, it was not a good incident. And after that incident, the attacker Osama bin Laden, he released a videotape. So that shocked the Americans and the world. Yeah, so somebody attacked, but somebody was acknowledging it very boldly after making so much damage to the world, and a lot of innocent people died. So he was under such a secured place where no one could find him. Even nobody could trace from where he is giving this speech and from where he is recording it. It was such a protected place. He was, living very peacefully, whereas the world was so much disturbed, especially the Americans. And at one day, he started hearing the flights on top of his building. So he realized somebody betrayed us. So those guys are in. So it's done. So finally, they arrested him. So in this world, there is no a secure place for us to go and hide. We cannot rely on the world strength. We cannot rely on the power of people who can protect us, who can give us a shelter. And one is greater than the other person. Somebody could not really protect our lives. So our God is a great God. When our God is with us, who can stand against? This world, we do not know who will plot evil against us. So we think everything goes well and smooth. Sometimes we sense our enemies when we are in a disagreement with somebody, or maybe it's a struggle for many years. Maybe it's a conflict in families. Maybe it's a conflict in relationships, or in friendships. We know sometimes, we have enemies around us, but sometimes we do not even know who is my enemy. So when David was saying it, Lord, they have plotted, they have dug a big hole for me, and they are inviting me to fall into that trap, Lord. So we do not even know many times who is plotting evil against us, who is digging a pit for us to fall down. They speak very nicely. They invite us. They, try to do a nice conversation, but we do not know who is plotting evil against us, who has dug a big hole and expecting for us to fall down by doing good things, speaking very nicely. We cannot escape from this world. Knowingly or unknowingly, if we know our enemies, we cannot trust on humans to keep us protected. So when we look at from Bible, Nehemiah, so he wanted to build the city wall for the Israelites who were sent as exile to Babylon. So at one time, Babylonian king, he sent back all these Israelites, realizing the God who you worship is a great God. There is no such God exist on this world. You go and build a temple for him, and you build, you reconstruct your cities. You live safer in your own homeland. Nehemiah carrying this mission, and he was constructing the city wall. So there were enemies around him, but that city was a demolished city. No one could even consider it. But when he started building the city wall, there were enemies started raising against him. They even invited him, come Nehemiah, come, let's talk. Let's have let's have food together. Let's do a party. But Nehemiah knew they have plotted an evil against him. The God who is with us will reveal what is needed for us at the right time. But he did not go with those enemies. They did not behave like enemies. They behaved like close friends, and they are somebody very closer to him to talk nicely. But God will show us who are our enemies, and he will protect us. If we rely on this world, sometimes we do not know who are our enemies. We fall down into their trap. He is Almighty Fortress. He goes before us. Nothing can stand against us. God will not let your feet slip. The one who watches over you will never slumber. He is not a God who sleeps. The one who watches over your feet, he will not let you fall down. He will not let your feet slip down, even though you have enemies around you. Even though there are many people on their own, they can consider themselves as enemies to you. Maybe they try to plot evil against you. So today, God is telling you, so He will watch over your feet. He will not let your feet sleep. The one who watches over you will never sleep. So we have a great God. He will never let us down, as we have seen Nehemiah when he was being trapped in various aspects. Even the temple priest invited him to enter into the sanctuary so he can unhonor the sanctuary, and then they can blame him. So he doesn't even recognize how many plots people can make on this world. We cannot imagine, oh, can this happen? Can this person do something against me? We never know. So that's why God said, no one is good, not even one person on this world. But we have a God who never sleeps. We have a God who never forsakes us. We have a God who never gets angry because of our trespasses, because of sometimes we don't walk with God, we just walk away from God. Whatever it may be, the God who watches over you will never let your feet sleep. So he is not a sober God who can forget what he is doing it. So this is what we need to rely on God instead of relying on human wisdom, instead of relying on human protection, instead of relying on our own abilities to tackle situations. So when we rely on our own strength, when we rely on our own power, or the power around the people who we have, we cannot handle certain circumstances because we never know what will happen in our life, who will rise against us. When Israelites they crossed Egypt, until the day they were treated as slaves. Even when Moses went and he advocated for these people before the king of Egypt, he realized this person is disturbing me, increase the workload for those people. They do not have, they have a lot of free time. So that's why they are thinking all these possibilities. Just give the work very hard to them. So they never realized until the day they were living as slaves, but still they were happy. But they did not know when Moses went and told them, God is calling you to come out of this slavery land. He has sent me to take you into a promised land. But again, so the same king who treated them nicely as a slave, he became very harder, and he started, giving more hard work for them. And later, God released them from the hands of such hard Egyptians. Now they are set free. Now they are coming out of this slavery land. Now they have more gold and silver and all the ornaments and all things which God made for the Egyptians to give it to them. The same enemies, the same people who are treated you without heart, God enabled those people to treat you nicely. So that's how God made Israelites to come out of this slavery land, not as slaves. Now, when they return from this land, now they are rich people because they've got all the gold and silvers from the Egyptians. Now they are walking out of Egypt, and they are going near a place called Sinai. So near the Sinai mountain, and they started grumbling again. Oh, we don't have enough water, or So it would have been better to stay in Egypt. Now God told Moses, Moses, you yourselves have been a witness. You yourselves have seen what I did to Egyptians, your enemies, those who treated you as a slaves, those who treated you without heart, and how hard they made your lives. You have seen what I did to your enemies. I've carried you on eagle's wings. Do not forget what I did to your enemies. So that's what God is telling us today. Many times we would have forgotten what God has done in our life. Many times we never imagine who rose against us, who rebelled against us. We never remember. But God is telling us, you remember what I did to your enemies, and trust me, obey my commandments. The one who watches over you will never sleep. God's eyes are watching over his people to do a good in their life. So when we come across circumstances in our life where we do not recognize our enemies, so they were plotting all sort of traps against us. But when we rely on God, He holds us like eagle wings. That's what God told Moses. You have seen what I did to Egypt. I hold you. How? I hold you on eagle's wings. So when the mother eagle uh, finds her child, when it's a right time to fly, she takes her to the very high place. The child enjoys the nourishment of the mother, but all of a sudden it just drops. She know, she knows the child is ready to fly, but still it's under the nest. She is not moving away from the protected zone. She is not equipped enough to walk or fly on her own. So then she drops. The child still thinks, okay, my mother will protect me. But after a certain time, she realizes mother did not come to protect. She starts panicking. She starts, moving her wings. She tries to, do something to protect. But at some time, she loses hope. So that's the moment the mother knows to, pick up the child again. Then it, picks it, carry it again to the high places, and then again drops. That's how eagle teaches her children when it's right time to fly, how to fly on her own, how to stand on her own. The same way God carries us on eagle's wings. Whatever the enemies around us, whoever things are wanted to do something against us, so nothing will harm us, nothing will destroy us, because we have a God who watches over us, the maker of heaven and earth. He is watching over your life. So the enemies do not know what they are trying to do, but the God will hold you on eagle's wings. He will never let you fall down. He will never let your feet slip. He will watch over you, so that he will protect you. So that's a great God we have in our life. When we look into Daniel's life, he was taken as an exile into another land. So he was not very happy about his environment. He was not very happy about the country where he was living, the culture and the languages, but he was under a pressure to adopt all the circumstances. So he was, just surviving, but God is lifting him above all other people. So he only knew he was not happy. Even the king offers his position. So he was given a honor which is very close next to the king, but still he was not happy. But the people who around him, they were thinking, see, he is an exile, he is a stranger. He came to this land and he is going to be the leader for us. They started a plot against Daniel. So in this world, you never know who will rise against you. It would not be your desire, it would not be your sins that you can understand who are your enemies or who are your friends. So they wanted to pull him down, not only pull him down, they wanted to destroy him. So God is telling you today, the one who watches over you will never let your feet sleep. So he is the maker of heaven and earth. All that you need to do, when you see you have such a wonderful God in your life, you yourselves are witness to God. You yourselves have seen how God dealt with your enemies, how God dealt with people who were trying to harm you, people who were trying to suppress you, anyone who wanted to do anything against you. You yourselves are witness to God. He has carried you on eagle's wings. So what God is expecting from us, obey my commandments, walk into the path of Jesus Christ. So whenever you remember how difficult your life circumstances were, how graciously God protected you, He never showed angry for anything we have done against Him. He has never shown, any bad feelings with us. All the time, the world, it was trying to harm us. All the time God is trying to protect us. Only thing we need to remember, walk according to his commandments, walk according to his path. When we walk into his path, So that's what God is expecting from his children. I will protect you like an eagle. I will carry you on my eagle's wings. No one can stand against you, but do not forget to walk on the path of Jesus. As Jesus said, you know, love one another and treat others as you want to treat yourself. Give the first and foremost priority to God. So the God will watch over your footsteps. He will not let your foot slip down. He will not let you uh, fall down when you are about to fall down. He will hold you on his eagle's wings. So when we looked at Nehemiah, so many people were trying to plant a trap, and even in David's life, he never knew who will be his enemy. Everything will go smooth. The people who are always with him, all of a sudden, will become stronger than what he is. Then they start threatening him. So, in all the circumstances, we have a God who is watching over our life, who is king of, the maker of heaven and earth. When God is for us, who can stand against us? So, all that we need to do, trust God, obey what He wants us to do in our life. He will take care of all these enemies who are raising against us, who are planting against us. When we try to walk onto the footsteps of Jesus Christ, how he wants us to live in this world. God said, so I will make you as a precious people over all other people on earth. Even though I am the maker of heaven and earth, God is looking into the heart of his people who obeys him, who walks onto his path. Sometimes we worry about all things happening around us. Oh God, why this has happened, and what am I going to do? How am I going to handle all these things? So God is telling you today, He is watching over your life. He is watching over your footsteps. He will never let your footsteps slip down. But He is expecting from each and every one of us to obey His path, obey His commandments, walk onto the footsteps of Jesus.
உம்மை நம்பி வந்தேன் நான் வெட்கப்படல உங்கயவனை கைவிடல உம்மை நம்பி வந்தேன் நான் வெட்கப்படல உங்கயவனை கைவிடல ஒரு கையால் நான் கடந்து வந்தேன் இரு பரிவாரங்கள் எனக்கு தந்தீர் ஒரு கையால் நான் கடந்து வந்தேன் இரு பரிவாரங்கள் எனக்கு தந்தீர் எல்லோரே 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 உம்மை துதிப்பேன் எல்லோரே 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 உம்மை துதிப்பேன் காயப்பட்டு நின்றேன் கண்ணீரில் சென்றேன் கலங்கின எனக்காக இறங்கி வந்தேன் காயப்பட்டு நின்றேன் கண்ணீரில் சென்றேன் கலங்கின எனக்காக இறங்கி வந்தேன் உடன்படிக்கை என்னோடு செய்து நான் இழந்திட்ட யாவையும் திரும்ப தந்தீர் உடன்படிக்கை என்னோடு செய்து நான் இழந்திட்ட யாவையும் திரும்ப தந்தீர் எல்லோரே எல்லோரே உம்மை துதிப்பேன். வேண்டினோரெல்லாம் விடை பெற்ற போதும் வேண்டியதெல்லாம் எனக்கு தந்தீர். வேண்டினோரெல்லாம் விடை பெற்ற போதும் வேண்டியதெல்லாம் எனக்கு தந்தீர். பரதேசியாய் நாம் தங்கினரை சுதந்திரமாக மாற்றி தந்தீர். பரதேசியாய் நாம் தங்கினரை சுதந்திரமாக மாற்றி தந்தீர். எல்லோரே உம்மை துதிப்பேன். எல்லோரே உம்மை துதிப்பேன். உம்மை நம்பி வந்தேன் நான் வெட்கப்படல. உந்தயவென்னை கைவிடல. உம்மை நம்பி வந்தேன் நான் வெட்கப்படல. உந்தயவென்னை கைவிடல. உயர்கையாய் நான் கடந்து வந்தேன். இரு பரிவாரங்கள் எனக்கு தந்தீர். வெறுங்கையாய் நான் கடந்து வந்தேன். இரு பரிவாரங்கள் எனக்கு தந்தீர். எல்லோரே உம்மை துதிப்பேன்.